So this is going to be take 2 on the Neon Colors ink swirl. I'm going to break it down into 2 different layers. Please forgive the fact that I already have that on there. I was totally listening to a podcast and completely got sidetracked after I finished stirring, and realized it after I had already poured it. So I have 30 mixed up. I'm going to do my thin layer like usual. So for this layer, I'm going to do, I'm going to try and do colors that don't blend to make another color, like yellow and blue. I'm going to do like yellow with a little bit of green. That last cup I made, the green really took over the world, and it wasn't really what she was wanting. So this is take 2. I'll just list that other one on my Facebook page, or hold on to it for a craft show at some point. We'll see. So I'm just going to do this. I didn't have my epoxy warmed up like usual, so you'll notice it has a lot of air bubbles, and it's really thick. My epoxy is usually much, much thinner than this, and minimal air bubbles, but it's not really a big deal for what I'm doing right this minute. Those bubbles are pretty much going to be taken care of whenever we start heating this up to move the inks. If I can help it, I'm going to avoid using white on this one. I was trying to use that to make them pop on the other cup, but they really weren't achieving the look I was going for. The other cup is really pretty. I like it a lot, and I actually wouldn't be opposed to putting my own name on there, but it's not what she asked for. And so I told her I would throw another one on here and try a different technique. I've done it once before where I did an ink swirl and then I ended up with some bare spots. And so I just kind of did another layer right on top of it after it cured, just kind of like that was my base coat. And it seemed to work all right, best I remember. But I haven't had to do that in a really long time. So I might be kind of mixing up a couple of cup experiences and not even realizing it. It's possible. So in one of the other videos I was working on, in the live of the neon colors I was going for, it's not labeled neon colors. It's like 2 videos below this one, where this one will be. I was kind of dabbling with the idea that the dry spots that pop up on occasion, like randomly throughout the cup, could possibly be from oils from my hand. And that cup ended up with 0 of those spots, so it's entirely possible that that actually has a little bit of merit. One of the comments, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's some kind of a shop towel. Somebody commented that you can use that. It's in the automotive section, and just put it back in a towel, in a baggie, and it removes debris, oils, and all of that. And she said you could use that beforehand. I don't remember what that's called, but I may have to look into that, because sometimes you just can't help but touch it. It just so happened that I was able to handle these a little bit more out of the ordinary. Okay, so that's going to kind of settle for a bit. So for this bottom layer, I'm going to do some yellow, some green, and some purple. But I'm going to keep them kind of far apart from each other. I don't really want them to blend with each other. In fact, I think I'm going to just do my darker colors on the bottom, but not have them touch. So that means cobalt green, turquoise, and purple will be on the bottom. Maybe a hint of magenta. I'm actually going to put this red away before I accidentally grab it. But I don't want my colors to touch each other, so I'm going to make them nice and far apart. And this green is, like I said, it wants to take over. So I'm literally only going to do like one more drop. And let it go down the end there. I am literally putting the lid on this, tossing it over here. I don't want to be tempted to add any more green because it absolutely will take over. So I'm just going to do some of this now. Not too much, like I said, because I am going to be going over this. I did not want you to touch. Grr. We're going to be going over this later with another layer of epoxy with the lighter inks. So I really don't want much touching there. Which I know that's going to be really hard, but the minimal the better. And we'll do one on the bottom when it comes around. All right. I'm going to do one more purple right up here at the rim. And I wanted to, yeah, I wanted it to spread like that. Those are a little closer than what I wanted, but that's okay. It's still on track. So I'm gonna throw my mask on now. Make sure you use protection whenever you're heating and handling epoxy. Better safe than sorry. I've had reactions and I lucked out on how minor they were. I know I've heard stories of people ending up in the hospital with breathing issues because of it. There we go, now it's starting to move. My epoxy is pretty cold. I'm going to go ahead and throw a drop of white everywhere that these colors are overlapping, just to kind of break that up. Right there. Right there. There we go. Kind of brightens up those little dark spots too. Just want this where it doesn't look like straight up amoebas. I want it to be pretty swirled and blendy. Not blendy like with each other, but like blended into the edges, kind of softer edges. Because then whenever I add those other colors on the next round, it'll be a little easier. So I'm going to take this off. And we're going to give it just a little bit of vertical movement. But not a ton, because I don't really want these colors to blend. We're just going to go up and down, just a few times. Just to kind of give it a little angles there. Let's see, you kind of want those to break apart like that. I'm going to leave that like that. I feel like the bottom always gets so much done, but even though it's not really getting any more ink, it's a good gathering spot, I guess. So that is all I'm going to do to this one for the moment. Now, after this is cured for the top layer, we'll do some yellow, some magenta, and some orange. But we want these colors as bright as possible. And I really didn't want a ton of white on there. So that's good where it is. These edges are nice and soft, and that's what I was wanting. So now tomorrow when we go through and do the next layer, I'll pretty much put it where all these white spots are. And then those brighter colors should pop really well. And just kind of smooth in. And I won't have to worry about putting, just like how this has empty spaces, it'll be like that on the next layer. But that'll be tomorrow. I am going to heat that up because that's too much of a big blob of white. I want that broken up a little bit because that's not what I'm going for there. If that did it. So that'll work. By the time that spreads around and twirls and swirls, that should be exactly what I'm going for. Alright, so this is what it looks like after turning last night. And it's nice and ready for us to do the next layer. So I already have 20 milliliters already on here. I thought that was kind of redundant to record. So here we are. So this layer will have orange, yellow, and a little bit of magenta. So I'm just going to drop these on here, mostly in the white spots, but not limited to that. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze for a second. Not limited to just already forgot what I was saying. So we're not limited to just the blank spots. It's been a long day. Holy moly, it's been a while since I forgot what I was saying, literally mid-sentence. But enough to where we can make it swirl over those white spots pretty easily. And we're not going to put much emphasis on the pink, but we are going to put it there. Where do I want this dot? Right there. Just a little bit of pink. It can kind of get a little overwhelming. It's kind of powerful. Not quite as intense as that green, but definitely has a little bit more of a presence. I'm going to do this where it'll drop downwards that way. I'm kind of trying to get coverage on that rim right there, and it's actually okay that that went in the rim there because it's super easy to clean out. You just literally take your paper towel and get it wet with alcohol, and that's it. All right, that should be enough color. So I'm gonna throw my mask on now, and then we're gonna heat this up. I'm just using a regular heat gun, nothing too fancy. I'm afraid to try a torch. I know some people do, but I'm too chicken. All right, regular torch. And we just want some movement here. I don't want to burn my epoxy or scorch my epoxy. That's kind of cool how it has those dots in there, but it's not supposed to be that way. Kind of looks like Easter eggs. But you don't want it so close that you scorch your epoxy. If you're too far away, it won't move like you need it to. We're actually going to throw a little bit of white on this layer as well, like we did the bottom layer. Just to kind of make some of the colors a little bit more vibrant. And we're going to make it move in just a minute. There we go. That should be enough. I don't want a ton of white, but I definitely want enough to kind of make some of those real pretty swirls that we get. Kind of look like little waves in there. So we're going to give it just a little bit more movement, and then we're going to go vertical with it. I'm going to have to watch that spot. It's kind of dry. I didn't get quite enough epoxy right there, apparently. All right. Make sure you're working over a protected surface. And catch any drips that you have. So we're just going to manipulate this. You can see that kind of moving, like a little continental drift or something. But we just want to go up and down, just so that it's not mostly lines, you know. I want to get right here where that dry spot is, so I'm going to let it kind of accumulate right there. Not too much. I haven't had to touch any epoxy in a while, so I'm just going to do that. Up and down, up and down. It's actually okay that some of the white shows through. It just kind of looks like it's one of the colors sometimes, unless it's excessive or weirdly shaped or whatnot. And I do have a couple spots right there that ended up a little too solid for my taste. So I'll probably try and throw some white right there in that yellow to kind of camouflage that little spot right there. And that's a little too vertical because I wasn't watching what I was doing. So I'm just going to give it more horizontal persuasion. And I'm just manipulating these so that they kind of go a little bit more where I want them. It's impossible to get it to do exactly what you want. So up and down, up and down. I'll just put a little something right there to kind of camouflage that hard line right there. Okay, that should do it. That wasn't even the spot that I was aiming for. I got two of those spots right there. Trying to do some, careful not to touch the tip of your heat gun. It's hot. Just do a little bit of orange to kind of hide that. One nice thing about the orange and the yellow is they're very translucent, so I'll go ahead and throw some more yellow right there too. They're not really going to take over the cup like some of the other colors will. Oh, I heard it drip. Got a little dry spot right there. I'm trying to manipulate this just a little bit better. I got less of this like I was aiming for. It was going a little too tall. So that's good. Some of these spots make me think of a creamsicle or like a Flintstones push pop or something. So I added these in and haven't heated it since then, so I'm going to just kind of manipulate that just a little bit. Sorry, I keep getting off camera. It looks like a little dragon right there. Alright, that's all I'm going to do for right now. I do not want this overly mixed. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to put my heat lamp on it and let it be. My heat lamp will allow the epoxy to kind of stay warm for a little longer as it cures. I feel like I get pretty good swirls that way. That's really pretty. I'll probably heat it up just a teensy bit more before doing that. Manipulate it just a teeny bit more. I saw a spot that I needed to address right here. That rim was still pretty dry for some reason, so I went ahead and just pushed it with the air. Just pushed it right up to the rim. As pretty as that is, that's not what I'm going for, so I gotta break that up. Alright. I mean it this time. I'm done with the heat. So I'm going to push this to the back of the counter, set the heat lamp close enough to help cure it, but not so close that it like completely liquefies this and makes it too runny. There is such thing as too runny. That is so pretty right there. I think I'm going to end up putting her name right there where it's a little less colorful and pretty, because everything else looks so good. I'm going to break this up. I lied to y'all. Again, I'm sorry. I don't want that big old white chunk right there. Just kind of floating there. Okay. That's it. Voila. So we're going to let this just hang tight, cure overnight, and come check on it in the morning. I'm going to set my timer for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. Probably just depending on what it's already set for, since I had the timer turned on to warm my epoxy before coming out here. It's so cool how some of that looks like lace in some spots. I don't really know the rhyme or reason, because some of it just clumps together like that, and some of it really spreads apart so nicely. So pretty. Alright, that is it. I'll post a picture of this finished as the thumbnail. Okay, I found one really big bare spot. I don't want that huge of a spot on my final. So that was a really big white spot, I feel like. That's pretty covered. Let's do something there. Alright. So with the heat that I'm about to apply, that's actually going to do its own thing as needed. So I'm not going to worry about trying to break that apart or swirl that in any way, because it's going to do its own thing. So that's it. So that's how I have decided to start trying to do my colors. I have very little overwhelming mixes. Just a few here and there from last night, but not that bad. So I think that's probably how I'll do it from now on, if I'm trying to avoid any dark spots, or avoid as many dark spots as possible. All right, so here's our final result. It turned maybe 4 or 5 hours last night. I don't remember what I had my timer on. We just have a few spots that are kind of darker than intended, but overall it's really pretty. I think it's a lot closer to what she was wanting than this original one here. This is the original cup here. The green took over and she liked it, but it was just too much green. So I'm gonna send her this, see what she thinks, and then go from there. Probably put her name either right here where it's the darkest, because it'll pop, or over here where it didn't blend quite as well. I'll see which one she wants it on. So that's it. If you like my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. That way you'll get notifications when new videos pop up. That's it. Y'all have a good one.